In the heart of the Middle East lies the Arabian Peninsula, a land of sun-scorched deserts and hidden oases. Its story is one of survival and resilience, shaped by extremes of climate and scarcity of water. The Bedouin, nomadic masters of the desert, learned to thrive here, reading the land and finding life where others saw only emptiness. Arabia is not a single desert, but a tapestry of regions. The Hijaz Mountains to the west, the green Asa in the southwest, and the central Najd Plateau. Each region has forged its own traditions and history, shaping the people who call it home. The peninsula has always been a crossroads, bordered by the Red Sea and Persian Gulf, connecting Africa, Europe and Asia. Across these seas, goods and ideas flowed, enriching Arabia and spreading its influence. The story of Saudi Arabia's origins is one of connection, not isolation. Trade, migration and the exchange of knowledge have always defined this land. The shifting sands hold the memory of ancient journeys and enduring faith. Here, human will has battled nature for millennia, and often triumphed. This is the stage on which the drama of Arabia unfolds. Welcome to the land of shifting sands. Long before the modern kingdom, ancient peoples called this land home. Their legacy is found in silent ruins and mysterious rock art, evidence of diverse tribes and civilizations. Archaeology reveals a rich past early humans migrated through Arabia, and kingdoms like Dilmun, Tamud and Leonites flourished. These kingdoms controlled incense routes, trading frankincense and myrrh across the ancient world. Hijra, or Mada-in Salih, stands as a testament to the Nabateans' artistry and wealth. Carved tombs and lost cities tell of a vibrant society that mastered the desert. Arabia was never empty. It was a vital hub of trade and culture. The skills of these early peoples, trade, water management and community, laid the foundation for what was to come. Their achievements form the bedrock of Arabian history. The echoes of the ancients still shape Saudi Arabia today. As ancient kingdoms faded, the Bedouin tribes came to dominate Arabia. Their lives revolved around the clan, the tribe, and the relentless search for water and pasture. The camel was their lifeline, transport, food and survival in one. Bedouin knowledge of the desert was unmatched, passed down through generations. Courage, honor and hospitality defined their culture. Even enemies were welcomed as guests. This code brought stability to a harsh, lawless land. Alongside nomads, settled communities thrived around oases and coasts, growing dates and trading with the Bedouin. The relationship between nomads and settlers was complex, interdependent, sometimes tense, always vital. The interplay of desert and oasis shaped pre-Islamic society. Bedouin values became deeply ingrained in Arabian identity. The people of the tent left a legacy of resilience and unity. Their spirit endures in the heart of Arabia. Arabia's tribes were linked to the world by ancient trade routes, the caravan arteries. Frankincense and myrrh, prized across empires, flowed north from southern Arabia. Control of these routes brought wealth and power to tribes who guided and protected caravans. Camel caravans carried goods, news and ideas, turning way stations into cultural crossroads. The Incense Road, running along the Red Sea, connected Yemen and Oman to the Mediterranean. Cities and oases prospered as vital stops, fueling the rise of powerful confederations. Shifting trade patterns eventually diminished the overland routes, but their legacy endured. Skills in trade and negotiation remained, ready for a new era. Along these ancient paths, a city was rising, one that would blend commerce and faith. The caravan arteries set the stage for Arabia's transformation. The world was about to turn its gaze to Mecca. In a barren Hijaz valley, Mecca rose to prominence, not for its land but for its sacred Kaaba. The Kaaba, said to be built by Abraham and Ishmael, drew pilgrims from across Arabia. The Quraysh tribe, Mecca's custodians, turned pilgrimage into prosperity, declaring truces and hosting grand fairs. Mecca became a bustling marketplace where faith and commerce intertwined. The city's social fabric was complex. Wealthy merchants, poor clansmen, foreigners and slaves. Inequality and tension simmered beneath the surface. Mecca was the heart of pre-Islamic Arabia, a hub of trade, poetry and legend. The annual pilgrimage united Arabs in a fragmented land. Into this charged city, a man would be born who would change everything. Mecca's destiny was about to shift. The world was on the brink of a new era. In 570 AD, Muhammad was born into the Quraysh tribe of Mecca. Orphaned young, he was raised by his grandfather and uncle, learning empathy and resilience. Known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, he earned respect as a merchant and married Khadija, a wealthy widow. Their marriage gave him stability and time for reflection. Troubled by Mecca's inequality and idol worship, Muhammad sought solitude in the cave of Hira. There, in 610 AD, he received a revelation from the angel Gabriel, an event that would change history. The first verses of the Quran were revealed to him, marking the start of his prophetic mission. At 40, Muhammad was chosen as a messenger, tasked with delivering a divine message. His teachings would challenge Mecca's old ways and inspire a new faith. The merchant of Mecca became the messenger of Islam. From the mountains, a new chapter began for Arabia. The world would never be the same. Muhammad preached a radical message: strict monotheism or Tawheed. He declared there was no God but Allah, the God of Abraham, Moses and Jesus. This challenged Mecca's polytheistic beliefs and economic power, calling for an end to idol worship and submission to God. This call to Islam was a reordering of life and society. His message included social justice, condemning greed and championing the poor, orphans and oppressed. Initially shared with a small circle, including Khadija, Ali and Abu Bakr, his message resonated with the disenfranchised. The Quraysh leaders opposed him, seeing a threat to their traditions and authority, leading to persecution of his followers. Despite abuse and violence, the community held firm, strengthened by the Quran's verses. The situation in Mecca grew increasingly perilous for Muhammad and his followers. The year 619 AD became known as the Year of Sorrow. The persecution intensified, and it became clear that the Muslim community could no longer survive in Mecca. A new home had to be found. An opportunity arose from the oasis city of Yathrib, invited him to their city as a leader and a peacemaker. After careful consideration, Muhammad accepted their offer. In the year 622 AD, the Great Migration, or the Hijra, began. The Muslims secretly left Mecca, making the arduous journey across the desert to Yathrib. Their successful arrival in Yathrib was a pivotal moment, marking the beginning of the Islamic calendar. The Hijra was a transformative journey to the foundation of a new state. The city of Yathrib was renamed Medina. He drafted the Constitution of Medina, establishing a formal community. For the first time, a community was founded on a shared religious and political covenant, laying the groundwork for the first Islamic state. Following the Prophet Muhammad's death in 632 AD, the Muslim community chose Abu Bakr as the first caliph. This began the Rashidun Caliphate. From Medina, these leaders launched a period of expansion, conquering Persian and Byzantine territories with astonishing speed. The Arabian Peninsula remained the heartland of the Islamic world. The caliphs worked to consolidate the state and codify Islamic teachings, compiling the Quran. Debates over leadership led to divisions and civil war. The Umayyad Caliphate shifted the political center from Medina to Damascus in 661 AD. Mecca and Medina retained religious importance, but their political influence declined. Under the Abbasid Caliphate, the golden age of Islam unfolded in Baghdad, while the Arabian Peninsula drifted further into the shadows, left to tribal autonomy and local conflicts. As Damascus and Baghdad flourished, the Arabian Peninsula entered a long period of relative obscurity. For centuries, its history became fragmented. The annual Hajj pilgrimage ensured Mecca and Medina were never forgotten. Strong, centralized control gave way to local emirates and tribal sheikdoms. In the deserts of the Najd and mountains of the Asir, tribal law became the primary authority. In the 10th century, the Sarmatians established a state in eastern Arabia, even sacking Mecca. In the Hijaz, the holy cities were governed by the Sharif of Mecca, ruling as vassals to powers in Egypt. Overland caravan routes were superseded by maritime trade. Coastal towns engaged in sea trade, but the interior remained isolated. This isolation preserved a traditional way of life, but also led to a decline outside the holy cities. Despite fragmentation, the peninsula remained the cradle of Islam. The Bedouin tribes continued to be a force, challenging distant rulers. This period allowed a resilient society to endure, preserving elements that would fuel a movement for renewal. In the 18th century, the Arabian Peninsula was a mosaic of competing tribal territories, with no central authority to speak of. The region of Najd, that vast arid plateau in the heart of Arabia, was particularly fragmented, marked by constant raiding and warfare between its small towns and nomadic tribes. It was into this environment of political chaos and what he saw as religious laxity that a scholar named Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab emerged. Born in the oasis town of Uyayna in 1703, he was deeply troubled by local practices he considered deviations from pure Islam. He condemned the veneration of saints, the worship at tombs, and other customs he believed were forms of polytheism. Ibn Abd al-Wahhab preached a return to the fundamentals of the faith based solely on the Quran and the practices of the first generation of Muslims. His uncompromising message of strict monotheism was rather radical and, quite frankly, often unwelcome. He travelled and taught, but his rigid doctrines led to him being expelled from several towns. His teachings, which came to be known as Wahhabism, called for a complete rejection of what he saw as centuries of accumulated heresies and a return to the pristine Islam of the Prophet's time. He sought a political partner who could protect his mission and help implement his vision. He found that partner in 1744 in the nearby town of Diriyah. There he met the local ruler, a shrewd and ambitious emir named Muhammad ibn Saud. Ibn Saud saw the potential in the scholar's powerful message. He recognized that this fervent religious ideology could unite the disparate tribes of Arabia under a single banner. The two men forged a historic pact. Ibn Saud promised to protect Ibn Abd al-Wahhab's religious mission. In return, Ibn Abd al-Wahhab endorsed Ibn Saud's political authority, declaring his campaigns would be a righteous jihad. This alliance between political ambition and religious zeal proved to be a potent combination. It was a fusion of sword and sermon, state and faith that would have profound consequences. From their small power base in Diriyah, they began a campaign of conquest and conversion. The religious fervor inspired fierce loyalty among their followers. One by one, the towns and tribes of the Najd were brought under their control, either by persuasion or by force. The seeds of a new power had been sown in the heart of the desert, creating the first Saudi state and beginning a new chapter in Arabian history. The first Saudi state expanded rapidly across Arabia, provoking the Ottoman Empire. By 1818, the capital of Diriyah was destroyed, and the Al Saud family was driven into exile. They attempted to rebuild, establishing a second Saudi state with its capital in Riyadh, but it collapsed. The Al Saud were once again forced into exile, finding refuge in Kuwait. Abdulaziz ibn Abdul Rahman Al Saud, known as Ibn Saud, grew up in exile, learning the arts of desert warfare and diplomacy. The dream of reclaiming his homeland burned within him. In 1901, Ibn Saud embarked on a daring raid with 40 followers to reclaim Riyadh. In a climactic nighttime assault in January 1902, they scaled the city walls and stormed the Masmak fortress. They killed the Rashidun governor. The capture of Riyadh established Ibn Saud as a formidable leader. The return from exile was complete, and the journey to unify the land had begun. The capture of Riyadh was only the first step. For the next 3 decades, Ibn Saud relentlessly expanded his authority to unify the Arabian Peninsula. His strategy was a blend of Bedouin warfare, political alliances, and religious ideology. He revived the alliance with the descendants of Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab, using religious purification to inspire his forces. He created the Ikhwan, zealous tribal warriors transformed into a disciplined fighting force dedicated to spreading his rule. The Ikhwan brought the tribes of the Najd under Saudi control. By 1921, he captured Ha'il, becoming the master of Central Arabia. He annexed Al-Hassa and engaged in diplomacy with the British, securing recognition of his rule. The final conquest was the Hijaz, containing Mecca and Medina. By 1925, Ibn Saud captured Mecca and Medina, becoming the custodian of Islam's holiest sites. He unified the core territories of modern-day Saudi Arabia under his rule. With the major regions of the peninsula now under his firm control, Ibn Saud's authority was absolute. He had succeeded where his ancestors had failed, not only reclaiming his family's domain, but expanding it to an unprecedented extent. He had subdued rival tribes, secured the holy cities, and gained a level of international recognition. However, his realm was a patchwork of conquered territories. The time had come to consolidate these diverse lands into a single cohesive state. The process of unification also required building the institutions of a modern state from the ground up. Ibn Saud began to establish government ministries, create a national currency, and develop formal regulations. One of the greatest challenges came from his own most powerful warriors, the Ikhwan, whose religious zeal clashed with the practical realities of statecraft. He turned against his former warriors, confronting and decisively defeating the Ikhwan rebels at the Battle of Sabila in 1929. On the 23rd of September 1932, a royal decree was issued, formally merging the Kingdom of the Hijaz and the Sultanate of Najd into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. King Abdulaziz ibn Saud became the first monarch of this new kingdom. The newly founded Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was vast, unified and politically stable, but desperately poor. King Ibn Saud knew that for his kingdom to survive, he needed a new source of wealth. Geologists suspected oil deposits might lie beneath the sands of eastern Arabia. In 1933, King Ibn Saud granted an oil concession to an American company, Sokar. After immense hardship, they finally struck oil in March 1938 at Dammam Well No. 7. This confirmed that Saudi Arabia was sitting atop one of the largest reserves of petroleum the world had ever known, transforming the kingdom into a global energy powerhouse. The small trickle of oil revenue began to flow, and after the war, it became a flood, modernizing the country. The death of King Abdulaziz ibn Saud in 1953 marked the beginning of a new chapter for the kingdom. Fueled by oil revenues, Aramco became the engine of the national economy, funding infrastructure projects and modern cities. This development brought prosperity, altering a way of life unchanged for centuries. This rapid modernization, however, presented complexities as ancient traditions met hypermodern technology. The tension between change and tradition became a central theme of Saudi Arabia's story. The kingdom's oil wealth thrust it onto the world stage, transforming it into a major player. The 1973 oil embargo sent shockwaves through the global economy. In 1979, the seizure of the Grand Mosque in Mecca led to a more conservative turn within Saudi society. Events like the Iran-Iraq War and the First Gulf War underscored the kingdom's strategic importance. As Saudi Arabia entered the 21st century, it faced new challenges, including the global shift towards renewable energy. Recognizing its dependence on oil revenue and the needs of a growing population, the kingdom needed a more diverse economy. This led to the announcement of Saudi Vision 2030 in 2016, championed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The plan aims to diversify the economy through tourism, entertainment, technology, and increased private sector involvement. Vision 2030 also initiated dramatic social changes, easing restrictions and empowering women. The kingdom opened to international tourism and began hosting major events. Today, Saudi Arabia stands at a historic crossroads, undergoing a profound transformation driven by Vision 2030. It seeks a future that is economically diverse, socially dynamic, and culturally vibrant. The story of Saudi Arabia is etched into its vast landscape. From ancient tribes and caravan cities, a unique identity was forged. The dawn of Islam created a spiritual beacon, forever changing history. Seeds of a new power were sown in Najd, born from a historic pact. Unification under King Abdulaziz ibn Saud was a monumental achievement. Then the discovery of oil provided the means for rapid transformation. It propelled the kingdom onto the world stage, presenting immense wealth and challenges. This dialogue between past and future has defined the modern era. Today, Saudi Arabia is in the midst of a profound transformation. Under Vision 2030, it seeks to diversify its economy and open its society. The journey to a futuristic vision is a reminder of the resilience of this land and its people. A new chapter is being written, shaping its destiny for generations to come.